What is going on, people? Sean here, the host of Room 9. It is Monday, May 27th. Hope you guys are finding yourselves in a wonderful state of mind this Memorial Day. I am here to introduce episode 29. Coming up on 30 episodes, I like it. It was really kind of surreal to see how far Room 9 has come. I am close to having this to be an official company where I will be able to offer recovery coaching and the podcast, and I want to start going around more to rehabs and schools and do substance use awareness presentations. I think that would be awesome. I'm going to start trying to line more of those events up and do some things like that. I also thought about maybe doing like a Room 9 fundraiser / event this summer, but I don't know. You guys will have to let me know if that sounds good to you. And you can do that by filling out a contact form at room9podcast.com. Go to our contact page and sign up for our newsletter and everything else. And I will stay in touch with you, and I would love to hear from you about what is awesome about this podcast, about what could be changed, what you'd like to hear, topics, whatever that may be. You could also hop on the support page and read a letter to a donor and help out financially to get the message of Room 9 spread further and further and to reach more ears. That would be absolutely wonderful. I was thinking yesterday as I was doing some work at a coffee shop, I kind of got stuck on just kind of daydreaming about happiness. And really, essentially, that unhappiness is almost like the failure to recognize one's own abundance, in a sense. And it's just the absence of gratitude. I think more often than not, it's an absence of gratitude than it is an imbalance in, like, say, serotonin or whatever. And I'm not saying there's no such thing as depression, chemical imbalances, and all of that in the brain. Obviously, that is. But I feel like for the most part, it's situational sadness, and we fail to miss the mark sometimes as far as how blessed we are. And I think that's something I personally need to continuously be aware of, that I am a very, very lucky individual and human being. I have so many things going for me right now. It's incredible. So many people that are supporting me and helping me. And that's not only in a financial aspect, it's just in general, just people sharing and just support and believe what I'm doing is an awesome thing. And it's amazing to see. It really is. And I'm very thankful and humbled and extremely blessed to be in the position I'm in right now, considering where I was over 13 months ago. It's incredible. So anyway, episode 29 of Room 9. Sit down with Garrett Farrell, who is also an Oxford House member. Not the one that I am in, but he's in the Stevenson Oxford House. And his girlfriend joins us. So it's cool. This is an example of one of my favorite things about this podcast is the organic conversations that happen. And that's what this one was all about. I think Garrett's girlfriend, Morgan, was a little apprehensive in the beginning of even doing this. And once we got started, she really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Garrett really enjoyed it. And it was just really a conversation we talked about. Geez, a lot. But we talked about, some main things we talked about were boundaries and that fine line between helping and enabling. We discussed psychoactive substances and the benefits that are being found out with them and in recovery. We talked about a little bit of psychotherapy in recovery and just becoming more self-aware of a lot of things. And it was just a great conversation all around. And I think you guys will really enjoy it. As always, it flew by. I looked up and we were an hour and 15 minutes into this. So it's definitely a beautiful thing. So anyway, without further delay, I will let you listen to it. Episode 29 with Garrett and Morgan. All right, enjoy.
Wait a minute. You're Sean Cunningham. That's right. How you gonna know? You're Sean Cunningham. Stop asking fucking questions. That's right. Yeah. You better believe it. Oh, you better believe it. That's right. Come on. You're showing Cutting. That's right.
Bub Rub. Oh my, that was some of my favorite when I lived in Southwest Florida. I've met
That's right.
Like my one roommate had a friend for like 14 years. He's known this dude, and he introduces me to him. He's like, "Yo, Sean, this is Good Buddy." And I ask him later, like, "Yo, what's his real name?" He's like, "What are you talking about?
What do you mean?
What do you mean
That's
his real
literally
name?"
on his social security card. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Good Buddy.
It's like McLovin.
Yeah, McLovin.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
What are you, Seal?
Yeah, Good Buddy. Cool guy. There's so many fucking redneck. I'm like,
Got it. Okay.
I love it.
Redneck?
If I could immerse myself in any culture and just become ignorant again, it would be rednecks.
Blissful ignorance. I
Yep.
miss it.
When
Some of
part
us
it's a
still get to
little bit-
float around in it.
Yeah, floating's accurate because I can float right away.
Oh yeah. Can I float with you?
I don't know if you could handle it.
When we met, I used that like as a line. She's like, I gotta go float and do my whatever. I'm like, can I float with you? Yeah.
Floating. I love that sensory deprivation tanks.
Oh yeah, I've never done that before.
Yeah, they have one out in Williamsville.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah, those are pretty
pretty cool.
those are pretty trippy to go in there. Even sober, you go in there sober.
I bet. Yeah, I bet.
And yeah, it's fucking weird as shit.
I bet. Yeah, that's
Sensory
sensory.
deprivation.
Yeah, deprivation. You float in water. About
Yeah.
what? 14 inches of water or
Yeah,
so?
yeah.
Okay.
But they
And
have
you float.
they have so much salt in it that you actually
You're
just
more
float.
buoyant.
And it's black, so like all your senses are gone.
Can't
That
hear,
sounds
can't
like
see.
terrifying.
No,
it's
yeah.
very-
Anything where deprivation is
It's
used
probably
as a
really-
descriptor sounds like, wow.
Well,
If I
it's-
can't use all my senses, like,
It's crazy
how
when
do
you
I
think about
survive?
Yeah, well, it's nuts when you think about how you kind of how we perceive our universe with just our senses, obviously, because there's no other way. And when you cut those
Excuse me.
off and you're just left alone in your mind, it's really bizarre.
It'd be dope.
It's very
My mind's a scary fucking place. Can I swear on here?
fuck yeah.
Oh, word. All right. I
Yeah.
don't know.
There's
Fuck
an
yeah.
explicit next to every episode.
Oh, is there?
Yep.
So, like, there's a disclaimer?
Yep.
Oh, no
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's-
Word. So I gotta temper myself.
No.
I want to say something, though, about back to the deprivation thing, and you said your mind is a scary place.
It can be.
It's interesting to think about, like, people who do struggle and feel, like, trapped in their minds. Like, imagine we didn't have the senses to be able to
Distract ourselves.
just survive, manage that experience. Like, our senses play into our mind for sure. And not having things like that are, I guess, helpful tools would probably be very scary for some people.
Absolutely.
That's why people are addicted to their cell phones. Like, why would I can look at this stupid thing and scroll through Facebook and whatever, and I don't gotta worry about my problems.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
idiots, and they release dopamine, but that's a whole other topic.
no, I agree. There definitely needs to be, our senses definitely allow some tension to be relieved.
For sure.
Absolutely.
They use that kind of thing with people who have like phobias and stuff, like fear of flying, fear of small spaces, spiders. There's in my psych training, we learned about virtual reality therapy, where
Really?
like they would be wearing like a freaking helmet thing with simulated surroundings, and like for somebody who's like fear of heights, one of the I guess fake experiences with it was that they were going like up an elevator, so they were it was like actually like they were in an elevator going up like on a 100-story building
And working on their
And,
phobias, huh?
but throughout the therapy process, let's say you saw your therapist like once a week or maybe once a month, it would increase in its height. And then they would do kind of a anxiety scale assessment. They ask like scaling questions, like on a scale of 1 to 10. Since last time, raising up 1 floor or something like that. Like, how would you rate yourself? Things like that. And it's virtual reality therapy is what it's called, but the concept is exposure.
Exposure therapy,
Yeah.
exactly.
So it
yeah.
desensitizes you
That's an
to
interesting way to do it.
a fear that's actually really irrational, because like being in an elevator is quite safe. If it breaks down, there's ways to get out. There's the help phone. Like there's just things. But when people are afraid so petrifyingly, they can't understand the concept of an escape. So that's something that's our senses are played on for something like that. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's that whole like zone of proximal development when you just kind of slowly go as far as you can, and then the next day go as far as you can. It's like something I've applied in my life continuously, just as far as even growth and goals, and because that's a huge thing. Like,
And it's starting small.
Yeah.
Like, obviously.
which
like,
is huge.
and it's whatever a client would choose. Like sometimes it's like my mom has a terrifying fear of like major highways. She will not.
Really?
And I don't know where it comes from. She's never had a bad experience.
As a child or nothing?
Nothing.
Wow.
She just hates the high speeds, the, multiple lanes. People from those areas are very used to like passing with like one car length between you and the next. It's just psycho. I won't do that, but like I'm comfortable. Highways are more safe than any other roadway, to be honest. And that speed, you just have to be a little bit more aware of your surroundings. But like that is an example. Like some therapists would like maybe be driving along with someone in their vehicle.
In like a virtual
But
reality?
in
No,
real
in
life.
real life.
Just in real life.
Generally,
So
yeah.
it's
exposure
not my
therapy-
kind of therapy. Sorry to interrupt. Like, because it's quite involved, and like I
Definitely.
imagine it's quite expensive if you don't have some sort of coverage or something. Like you're going out in the field, like doing things that are not just face-to-face talk therapy in, a rented space of the therapist. It just it seems like a lot, and that's probably what would like avert me to doing something like that. I would probably try something different for my phobias if I had any, but it's just knowing that kind of stuff is out there as treatment is like pretty wild.
There is some crazy
Like,
stuff out
our
there.
field has evolved quite a bit to be able to help the human mind.
Insane since the early 1900s. Yes,
Oh,
it
yeah.
has. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah, pretty fascinating. Mostly why I love it.
It is. I've been obsessed with. I'm trying to think what got me into psychology. I'm trying to remember what made me fall in love with it.
Ooh, tell me.
I mean, mainly Carl Jung, but
Yep.
I mean, I just fell in love with his stuff immediately. Just because I always loved how he brought Eastern and Western thought together. He was one of the first people to really start doing that.
Have you seen A Dangerous Method? That movie.
No?
It's with him, his character, and Sigmund Freud, and
Freud,
their
yeah.
partnership in the field based on one subject that they were working on, the first case of hysteria. It was this woman, and they were actual like colleagues studying this woman, but there was an incident that took place where their partnership had a falling out, and then they became kind of enemies in the field of psychology.
Yeah,
They're no
it-
longer colleagues.
That was
when-
always interesting because Freud
It's-
was Freud's man. Like
Yeah.
he thought
That
Jung
was
would
his,
replace
like,
him and
partner in
carry
crime.
his name on, and out of all the
It's such a good movie, and Viggo Mortensen is in it.
Really?
And,
Okay.
Does it take place at
Michael
a school?
Fassbender. They are in a
I got
Yeah.
and
yeah.
Keira
Yeah,
Knightley
yeah.
is
Yeah,
their patient.
I've seen it. I have
It's
seen
so good.
What's it
A
called?
Dangerous Method.
Dangerous Method. Oh, I'm
They
definitely
actually,
watching that.
They've
Yeah.
got a Carl Jung Society in Buffalo.
Yeah,
We
we just passed it.
Yeah, absolutely. They
I
came
think it's like
outside.
nerd like convention
Nerdville for
type.
sure, man.
Yeah, I've
they
gone
like
down there a
came
couple
out
times.
on Delaware there.
Mhm.
Yeah. The dude like came out. He was like, "Why don't you come in and join us?"
It used to be
I'm
on
like,
Franklin.
Let me grab my girlfriend. And she
Maybe it
wanted to
is
leave, so-
Franklin because it's right behind.
Oh no, it was on Delaware.
But isn't that what's it called? Parallel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
They
maybe
were-
the entrance is on. I don't know.
it was on Delaware.
Whatever.
The sign was on Delaware. The placard.
Yeah, no.
Carl
Last
Jung.
time I went down
Okay.
there, it was on Delaware. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
man.
yeah, I went to one because they offer free groups down there,
What?
and I was trying to remember what the hell was the last one I went to. It's been a year or so, but it wasn't dream interpretation. I don't know. I think it had something to do with the Eastern thought and Carl Jung. I don't quite remember, but yeah, they offer free stuff down there all the time.
That's cool.
Like
Yeah.
actual therapy groups or like just
like groups,
educational
discussion
stuff?
groups, educational
Oh,
stuff. Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
All right, next time we should have just not dipped out so quick and just
Hey,
popped
man.
our head in.
I wanted to go.
Was it Thursday or Friday?
It was on a Friday.
All right.
I looked them up online. I got their website saved in my favorites.
Okay.
Yeah, but Jung's definitely one of
Yeah.
my favorites as far as like the beginning of psychology. I like Otto Rank a lot. Adler's pretty good, but Jung
I
was
love
definitely
Adler. He's my man.
Adler's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. So I love all those guys. Freud,
cool.
as crazy as Freud was, he had a lot of awesome people around him.
He did. I guess he was a pioneer, but like it's crazy to think today, studying psych, how much he's basically
wrong.
like discounted. Like we learn about him
He
because
is.
we have to, because he's kind of like
He
the
began
founding
it. Yeah,
father.
he is, yeah.
But it's like, yeah, nobody really thinks psychoanalytic therapy type stuff anymore because it's evolved so much to have, I guess, identified other ways that the human mind operates, and
Yeah.
then like manifests in terms of our like dictated behaviors and feelings and thoughts and stuff like that. He was just very like a one-track mind.
Well, he was
but that's
stuck
how
on-
all
he was-
ideas think,
yeah.
or how all ideas come about. Like
He was so stuck on libido, he wouldn't let
oh
go
yeah,
of it.
and
just
he
wouldn't-
was so
yeah.
stuck on being like I'm
the man.
I'm the man.
Yep.
And like I've talked about
As
this
he
with
talks
my
about
colleagues.
egocentrism.
Oh yeah, I've talked about this with like peers in my field and my classes. Like the psych theorists, like it was such a competition in terms of like when they would like discover a theory or a concept, and like they were not very much like comrades and like partners in the field of like, ooh, that's so interesting. I'm gonna like continue to follow this guy or this woman or whatever. But it was like, no, I'm right, you're wrong. I don't know,
crazy.
but I really don't know about any other types of like fields of science. I don't know if that same dynamic happens.
It did.
But
Well, at the same
just,
time-
it's crazy how they were just like, I'm the best, I'm the pioneer, like my theory is correct, and you don't know what you're talking about. It's just
I can
don't know.
identify with that mode of
wild.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
absolutely.
mean, at the same
Absolutely.
time, you had, 1900s, late
Mm-hmm.
1800s, electromagnetism's discovered.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into the 1900s, and then here's Freud and Jung.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, you have this crazy shit going on in science, which with quantum physics is now discovered. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Einstein's theory of relativity, I think, was 1912. And all of a sudden, they're doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, there's no way, this isn't right, you're wrong, I'm right. And it's good in the sense of it produces more productivity. Like people are motivated to keep continuously, all right, no, I'm going to prove him wrong. And they find things. But at the same time, when it becomes this like dark, evil, I'm going to prove you
Yes.
wrong because you're a scumbag, piece of shit, whatever it is.
Like, is it really
And-
about the people and the patients anymore?
Yeah.
More so
Yeah,
about
exactly.
being
About
the best
ego.
of the best,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
The ego. There we go.
Which
it's
I always-
been driving the field for
Which in
hundreds of
psychology,
years.
I always found that ironic.
I know.
Well,
it is pretty ironic.
When you
yeah.
talk about the egocentrism and then you are it,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is classic Freud right there.
It drives
Projecting.
innovation, though, just like capitalism does.
Mm-hmm.
It's competition, man.
It
People-
does drive.
people have an
it does
innate-
drive. Yeah.
Want to be good or better than. I
But-
don't know where that stems
But you
from.
can do that, completely do that without being egocentric.
Oh, absolutely.
And
you
that-
can.
that was- that's a
Absolutely
big
you can.
thing, yeah.
There's no question. But they kind of go hand in hand.
But you need
it's-
competition, yeah.
Oh my God.
I think
yeah,
you have
it
to be a very
drives
mindful
innovation.
person to be able to separate yourself from that ego-driven fuel, I guess, and more so like we want to figure out the root of these problems or ideas for the betterment of mankind and well-being, instead of being this figure in history
Mm-hmm.
that has founded this concept, and I'm going to go down in the books forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
well,
I think you
I
have
think
to
if
be
you're-
able to separate
If your
yourself from that.
mindset,
And that's difficult to do.
I think
It
if
is,
your,
that's
your
what- yeah.
primary
It's a
thought is like,
practice.
I'm going to be the best at something, not like I'm going to go down in the history books for all time. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. But
Psychopaths,
if you tell,
murderers.
pretty much, yeah, yeah, no doubt. But if you like tell yourself, I'm going to be the best at this, the benefit to others just comes inherently.
Well, I mean, we all have our things that we're interested in, and there's so many things that I don't know dick about. I mean,
Same.
I can talk philosophy, psychology, but that's really about where my interests end. Science. I can
Having
teach
some-
Garrett how to drink water out of a bottle.
Right.
We
yeah.
need a more like childlike sippy cup, I think.
Horizon needs to up their
Their swag.
swag game. Yeah,
Their
man.
water bottles?
Yeah,
I didn't even
bro.
have that when I was there, so you're lucky.
Employees only, dog.
Oh, yeah, that thing's leaking everywhere.
I know, it's brutal.
Just take the lid off.
Brutal. Yeah. Let's take the lid off. Sometimes it doesn't do it.
I was allowing my 8-month-old nephew to drink out of that thing with the lid off, and I just helped him. So you can do it.
Maybe.
You can get it.
You can.
I think so. I believe in myself. I want to go too far and
I
believe in
believe
myself
in
because then
myself.
I'll become egocentric.
We don't want that.
So
I'll
like,
develop a complex.
Just the way you said that sounded egocentric.
I got to be mindful. Oh God, bro. It's a fine line between cocky and confidence.
There is.
Yeah, no doubt.
Just like there is a fine line between enabling and helping.
Massive line, and I watch people cross it all the time.
It's easy to
I
do.
even do it at times.
Because I think it's so based on the individual as well.
For sure.
It is.
And it's hard
And the
to define
enabler.
it. Yep. And the enabler,
Like
yeah.
who the enabler/helper is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think
If I'm gonna let you lay around the house all day and fucking do nothing and sit on the computer and take your Suboxone,
That's
and
an obvious one.
and tell me you're looking for jobs for 2 years, like I did,
Yeah, I
And
mean, that's
you
an
really,
obvious one.
I see no changes in you. Like, you need to get out of my house.
Like, here's an example. So when I first got out of the village,
Okay.
the car I have now was basically given to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was my parents, and there was a point after about a month of me being in this Oxford house, I was having a conversation with her, and we were discussing things, and she was like I don't know if me letting you use the car is enabling or not, and we were just really trying to be open and discuss these things. And what I came to was, like you said, I wasn't sitting on the couch. I was out looking for things. I'm putting 40 to 60 hours a week into this room 9 and not getting paid a penny. I'm trying to go I'm picking people up and going to meetings and stuff like that. So there's this line sometimes, like, people get confused. And this is why even on here, I talk about education for parents, family members, and everything.
Absolutely.
Is because based on the individual, sometimes it's very difficult to see. Am I enabling him by letting him use the car all the time, or taking my credit card to get gas?
I think, sorry to interrupt you
No,
there.
go ahead.
I think, because I have like an almost identical situation going on right now. I think what would, I guess, identify it more as enabling is what actions came from you being afforded this car. I'm going through kind of a similar thing. My sister last year, just about a year ago, gave me her little 4-door car because her and my brother-in-law were pregnant, so they bought an SUV. And she paid the insurance for me for the rest of the year, and it was going to be up until January. It's like $124, nothing crazy, but I was still in school, working a shitty part-time job to try and put towards my bills, also doing other destructive things, unbeknownst to many people, but and even myself, whatever. But point is, maybe 3 weeks ago, my brother-in-law, her husband, said, I think it's time that you take over the car insurance. This was supposed to be until January. Now we're into May, and nothing's really changed. Like, your sister, her unemployment has stopped because she's still on mat leave, but she was getting maternity leave pay from the government, and then her employer was topping it up, so she would get 100% of her earnings. Not the unemployment didn't stop. Her job stopped paying the top up, so she's only making like 60% of her wages now, so she doesn't have any more income. But either way, I reached out to him. This was a texting conversation, and I told him, I totally understand. Your wife, my sister, reached out to me, and we've already had this conversation. I just wanted to let you know, I've secured my internship back again, which had been a 5-month hiatus. And, I have plans to find a new job. I'm going to be moving to Buffalo. I'm feeling really good. I've identified some mental health struggles that I've had, and like, I'm 100% committed to actually starting therapy and getting help for myself and not just dicking off anymore. And so he wrote back with, I'm so happy to hear that. Like, congratulations on that. And he's like, you know what? It'd be unrealistic for you to take on that expense, if you're still trying to achieve your dreams and not really making that much of an income. But I can see that you're doing the work to get there, and it's really great to see. How about we compromise, and for the next 3 months, we split it 50-50.
Awesome.
So I guess the message there was like, I showed him actions that have come with being able to have this car, and that will still require me having this vehicle, this independent way of getting around. And that is what I think made him realize, like, okay, we're helping her for a legitimate
the
reason.
Actions speak way louder
So
than words.
that idea, that message, that lesson there, I think, is what can help define that line between enabling and helping a lot more. Because enabling, I think you automatically associate it with continuing destructive or negative behaviors.
Which is true.
But also the definition of the word enabling could be like synonymous with like facilitating or influencing. But that is generally associated with doing better for oneself. And so in this situation, with both you and I in this car, and you showing your mom that, you're, or not even necessarily showing, but you're telling me and Garrett right now what has come with being able to have that vehicle. You're not just fucking off in a pretty affordable place to live, and you're doing good things since you've gotten back on your feet. And I think that is what can help outsiders identify that it is not enabling any sort of backpedaling or remaining in the same place that you came from and that it's not gotten better.
Yeah.
But I think enabling and helping in that situation too, actually, I just thought of this, are like the one and the same then. Because if it's helping you, it's also enabling you to do better. So like they're more synonyms than they are
Well,
like
generally speaking, the word
distinguishable things with negative/positive connotations.
yeah, enabling always has a negative connotation to it. There's no positive. Oh, I'm enabling.
But is that
them
our
to-
mindset? Is that what
Absolutely,
we
it's the
feel, or
language-
is
it's the
that
language.
dictionary type?
It's who knows? We're not looking up Webster's.
I'm just asking if that's if that's
absolutely,
society's
of course. It's
ingrained
fucking
idea.
chair. It's the language of addiction. I mean, it's the language
Okay.
that's generally used
Yes.
in this
Okay, that's
field
what.
of study or lifestyle or whatever the hell it is you really want to call it.
Yes.
If you're going to call something
The language of
enabling-
addiction, I think, is a great way to put it.
Sure.
Yeah, no, it is, because you're absolutely right. Enabling itself is, definitely not defined in a negative connotation.
No.
But when you use
This
it,
bottle
in the,
enables me to hold water,
yeah,
albeit
exactly.
poorly, but
Yes,
No, it holds
enables
water
me-
just fine, but not.
yeah.
doesn't-
When
into
you,
your
when you
mouth.
try to drink out of it,
yeah, exactly.
It's garbage.
It's straight trash, bro. I miss that zebra bottle. Sorry, Maddie.
well, that's right.
Yeah. Either way, man. Yeah. So enabling again, she got into it in a very long-winded way.
It's my specialty.
She's great at
I think
talking about watering down
Sean
stuff.
understood what I was
He
saying.
did. I did too.
Completely did,
It just
yeah.
waters. It's just whatever.
I know, I have a
we're
problem
different
with-
there. We're different. That's all, and that's okay. I do get annoyed with it sometimes, but it's okay. I still love you to death.
Thank you.
Yep.
Because he gets annoyed with it, that means you have to change, not him.
That's right. Yeah. Clearly. No, I just practice my deep breathing and whatever, man. Yeah, no, enabling definitely has a negative connotation on it. And it does. It goes with behaviors. Like I said, if I'm sitting around the house drinking tea and fucking eating Suboxone and playing Call of Duty, like I said, which I did for years, and I'm not doing shit to change myself, or even my parents are driving me to a job, so I'm working, but I'm making money and I'm not paying my bills. They're still paying for my phone, and I'm spending fucking $500 a week on heroin. Mm-hmm. Also enabling. Or I spend all that money that I got to the job on my own accord, but then I spend all that money on dope, and then, Mom, I need food, or Mom, I need cigarettes, or whatever the case may be. Whatever, man. It's crazy. It's really crazy. That is enabling me to spend all my money on heroin and, like, in some way think it's okay because I'm not being stopped or
Which there's a
reprimanded.
lot of parents out there. Whatever,
I know people that drive their
brothers,
kids to go
sisters.
buy fucking heroin.
It's
and I'm
crazy.
like, what are you talking about? You're driving your fucking son to buy heroin. Really?
It's nuts. Yeah.
Really? So you're coming out of your 401k to give this kid $200 a day, and you're driving him to the dope man's house. So
That's
my
crazy.
parents know this couple, Italian. They were married, Italian father. They had a son. So he's got like this old school Italian mentality, like, we've got to take care of our son. We take care of our kids. These people are now divorced. Their son is dead. They have no property. They have no retirement. Like nothing. All because they thought they were doing the right thing.
And there goes back again. It goes back to
And their kids fucking
not
dead.
being educated, because taking care of your son would be not giving him
Wow,
money
yes,
and taking
that is
him
so
to
true.
go to the.
Yeah.
Sometimes taking care of somebody means you have to do something they don't want.
Or you don't want. I
Yeah.
mean, my parents put me out. I had just completed 5.5 months in the village in 2008 and wrapped up 2 court cases after like 3 years. And I left court in Williamsville, and I was out in the parking lot shooting oxys. Like, straight
like
away.
that.
Straight away. Just got done with a standing ovation from like 85 people in a courtroom I don't even know. They're there for fucking traffic court. And I knew that I was just fucking off for 5.5 months, chasing broads around and playing volleyball. Like, I had to do that shit. I didn't want to. I didn't want to get better. I loved what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it.
What changed it for you this time around?
This time? Interesting. I did everything not on my own. Obviously, I had the help of a million clinicians and
Yeah,
and
but
people.
you.
But I made the decision to walk from Tonawanda to ECMC for the second time in 3 days because I got denied on a Friday, and then that Monday morning, I was like, fuck, I got a text from my aunt, who I don't talk
Like
to.
you went in
That's
on
what
your own
I
free
think-
will?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that might be. Is that what like initiated it? Because I know you told me, you said like I was just sick of living this way, but that's just very cliche. Like, was there a
I
that
had got
moment.
something
yeah.
that made you say, okay,
text message,
I'm
yeah.
walking in here?
Yeah, on Friday I had gone and tried to get into detox. I had a really bad benzo problem, and
But why did you
everything
try and
else
get
is-
into detox? That's what.
Because I couldn't do it anymore, man. I was living with some fucking dude. I was whoring myself out to him. I was at everyone else's. I had no control over anything that happened in my life. Nothing. Like nothing. It wasn't even like living with him. It was just everything. I had no control over anything at all. And I
other
just couldn't
people
do it
and
anymore.
things controlled you.
Absolutely. I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want to do it. That's the difference. Because there's been many times where I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want to anymore. I just didn't want to.
Just enough was enough. You're done.
Yeah.
Sometimes those epiphanies, I think, come and we don't
do.
know even what triggered
Why?
them.
Where it came
And
from?
I think
yeah.
that's the mystery that kind of makes us all curious when there's like what made you think I don't want to do this anymore? I've never really thought about like maybe he just can't pinpoint it. It
Well,
just
things aren't-
happened.
things
So what
aren't
does it
ethical.
matter?
It was
and it
19
did
years.
happen. So what does it matter?
It was
Is-
19
he wanted
years
to
of
do it?
trying
Yeah.
to do it 80 billion different ways.
Okay.
I'll take this drug. I won't take this drug. I'll do it on weekends. I'll fucking... You name it, I fucking tried it. I'm serious, bro. I have fucking tried it. I'm serious.
I know,
I'm
but
totally
yeah.
serious. And then I'm like, fuck, well, maybe that one thing that like I've never wanted to do, maybe that, and I see work for like hundreds and thousands
Yeah.
of people. Maybe I'll try it. Like maybe I'll just do these few things that they're telling me to do.
But it's funny because as beautiful as language is, it's very limiting. Mm-hmm. And there's so many things that we experience and go through in life that are completely ineffable. Like you just not put words to it.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I mean, I think that's one of those
Yes,
things. Like
exactly.
all of a sudden, I need to change. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know what it's come from. I think that's why we've probably have created religion and so many other things.
Totally.
try to quantify
like
it.
there's
Yeah.
something intangible, unthinkable that just entered our system of control and thinking and whatever and made that decision for us,
And-
but for the better.
Yeah. Yeah.
wild.
It's
Never thought of it
super
like
wild,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you hear a lot about that in just addiction.
Absolutely.
Spirituality makes a lot of sense now, like in terms of that being a component of like recovery and stuff.
When you look at spirituality, like in a way of
jeez.
we trying to explain something ineffable,
Mm-hmm.
it does kind of make more sense then.
Yeah.
When some people try to use it as like this factual, all-knowing,
Right,
like,
right.
this
right.
is it. This is
No,
you
no,
have to
no.
do. Then it becomes very annoying.
Sorry,
Or
dog.
maybe like your
Don't
ancient
subscribe.
aliens or something.
Fire flame right there. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
But either way,
This world's
that X factor that we don't really know what it is that brought you to ECMC.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, to walk. You actually walked. Huh?
From Tonawanda.
How long
yeah.
did that take?
Hour.
That's it.
Yeah, man. I used the bike path.
Huh,
Yeah.
that's not too bad.
Went and hopped the fence in dude's yard and got on the bike path.
That is where you like dope sick or anything?
I was about to have a seizure.
Oh.
I like literally begged this dude for 1 milligram Xanax. So I was like, please, dude, like I'm gonna have a fucking seizure. The last time I had seizures from benzo withdrawal, they thought I stroked out.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Yeah, they thought I had a stroke.
Yeah,
I chewed out a tooth.
I never got into the benzos.
Brutal.
Yeah, I never did it.
I'll
for
take
me.
heroin withdrawal all day. Give it up. Let's go. Let's go. I'll have the flu for a week.
Yeah, that's
No
that's
benzo withdrawal. Fuck that.
screw that all. Speaking of, I guess going back to like the psychology of things. So I got clean on my own for just like a month at my parents' house. My girlfriend was like, "Go get your shit together. Go see your parents, get your shit together, and we'll talk. I just want you to get better." So, and that sucked. That was terrible. And I lasted like 30 days clean, and that was it. I mean, I didn't work on any shame or guilt or anything.
No.
So I just stopped
Let's
using.
just put the
and-
drugs down.
And I was like, all right, cool. Let's not talk about any of this fucked up things I did. We'll put that under the carpet.
Just
and-
keep going
Yeah.
forward.
So obviously that failed. And in jail, though, my withdrawal, and I probably got arrested, 4 and 5 months after that?
Psychosomatics.
Yep. In jail.
Nowhere
my
near as
withdrawal was nothing.
Yep. Because your
Absolutely
brain
nothing.
knows. You know.
It's insane. The whole, mind over matter. kind of thing.
I wouldn't know
and how,
about. I don't know about nothing.
So
I
your
kicked in jail.
withdrawal was nothing compared to what it was at home?
It's
compared.
greatly
It wasn't nothing.
mitigated. It's
Right.
mitigated,
Yes. Yeah.
incredibly mitigated.
It was total. It was a walk
Do
through
you
the
think
park.
it's because of the environment you were in? It's like more of like I have to stay in survival mode here too,
No.
more than anything.
think that could-
like
that-
more than other
That's
situations.
possible. I never even
It's
thought
like
of
that.
my senses have to be heightened and help me more than like this stuff that's actually killing me right now, because this is notoriously known for being, an unsafe, unideal environment to be living in, sleeping in, whatever, compared to like the comfort of your own home.
Well, I always play that scenario in my head, like if I'm really sick or whatever it is, and I can barely move, and I was like, what if somebody came here and just fucking shooting up the place or something? All of a sudden,
dude, I think about that. Like in
I
the
wouldn't be
hospital all
sick.
the
I would
time.
be flying. I'd feel
We just
fine.
talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
Of the two people that you had to call in for ODing, and you said like
Oh, fuck.
I was high
Yeah.
too, but I fucking
was
jumped
lit.
into like
Just banged a half gram of fentanyl.
the
Two people
adrenaline.
OD'd
The-
at the same time, and
And
I'm
then
fucking.
You're sober.
So
Yeah,
there's
sober.
scenarios
I'm
that
like Superman.
Yeah.
Fuck sober.
scenarios of different systems take over in you.
Absolutely.
I think, which is why the body and the mind are such fascinating.
Super
The
fascinating.
connection
Things.
is just.
And how, like, you never know why every little thing in our body and our mind and our brain might be useful. It's like thinking about the freaking food chain and bugs and this and that, and it's like, ew, nasty worms and slugs. Like, what are their fucking purpose? But they're there for a reason. It's like there's so many things that we are
So-
made up of that
So
clearly serve a purpose, and we never know until we might be in a situation where, like, something kicked in and you're like, how the fuck did I survive that? That may be something to really now like step back from and learn about, because it'll be like, wow, I just learned what was going on inside of me.
It's super trippy.
That helped me,
Yeah.
or that like lessened my belief or idea of what withdrawal was compared to what I felt like at home. Like, what was doing that for me?
So going with that, what you were just saying, that mode of thought, that there's all these systems in our body and it's connected to the brain, which is like more powerful than our even best supercomputers today in 2019. And that there's all these systems that work in conjunction with one another. And the fact that there's how many miles of veins in our body, like how can anyone possibly think that there is not some type of intelligent creation, God, Allah, like whatever the hell you
that
want to call
designed
it.
it
Yeah,
specifically
absolutely.
to
Everything.
preserve.
I mean,
Or
bees
not.
pollinate flowers, which, like, if the bees died, we'd be like fucked as a species. That's insane, dude. Like, that's fucking nuts. The human race would cease to exist if bees died.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading an article, and it went through like after 20 years without bees, 40 years without bees, like, and eventually, it was crazy.
We're doomed.
The
What is
destruction
it?
of
What's
the planet.
It's like
The
a whole
ecosystem?
thing. Yeah, pretty much. I believe it's like the pollination of the flowers, and then the plants start
with
dying.
I don't know. It's been like
and
2
then
years.
Oxygen
doesn't
come-
get
yeah,
filtered.
yeah, okay.
Something like that. I mean, that's where my brain's going with it. I haven't really read
Photosynthesis
much
or
about it.
something.
Photosynthesis is the way that plants take light.
Oh,
And
osmosis.
no, osmosis. That's how a lot of
I'm
people
thinking
learn.
of all
That's
these
how I got into
biological
recovery.
scientific terms.
That's
Okay.
how I got into recovery, was through osmosis. 19 years of facilities and treatment and outpatient. And sure, I know all this shit. I know more than clinicians, but
I
it
know he
doesn't
says that
apply
a
to me.
lot. I probably know more than the people
I
treating
do.
me.
I'm quite confident in that. Maybe I'm just being cocky. I don't know, but whatever. You learn a lot when you get into treatment.
Well, the
at 14.
interconnectedness of everything is insane.
It's amazing.
It is. It's pretty crazy.
Mind blowing.
And
for
it's
sure.
it's amazing that there's people out there that want to study that and do research and experiments and shit like that, so that we can actually learn why. It's like there's a purpose for everybody.
I hope
Yeah,
this
it
is
is.
not ripping my shirt.
Like, I'm not
What's
into
going on with the
research.
chair?
I don't know. It's like rough edge. Every time I lean back on it, when I come forward, it's like my shirt's stuck to it.
Maybe there's something sticky on it.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, it depends
Yeah.
what I'm researching.
Like,
I love,
I'm not into research at all. Like, when I was in my undergrad doing psych, where I went to school in Canada, like, the psych students, we had to have an average of at least 80 to be able to do a thesis in final year, like our fourth year. I never made it to an 80 average, but I also told myself, like, I'm not interested in the research. I'm not
Really?
interested in contributing to the science. I want to be the one that helps people. Like, I don't want to be running participants and doing experiments with a placebo and this and that and the control groups and da-da-da-da-da. like that takes years, and then publishing a paper.
Who wants
like
to do work?
I can write essays, like psych papers, like no tomorrow, but like reading actual psychological journal articles and how long that process takes. It's like years and years of like editing, submitting it to a journal for acceptance or not, getting published. Like,
That's boring.
I think all of that also just stems from the fact that I'm a very results oriented person. And I think in this arena, psychology, results can be achieved a lot faster and easier when applying the stuff that's already out there that I'm learning about that helps people to those people, as opposed to like evolving the science, which is like snails walking through tar. I don't know.
That is a slow process.
I don't know. I've
Yeah.
never really broken
Abstract.
down my aversion to research like that, but I think it does ultimately fall under the idea that I just want to help the people and like seeing results in terms of helping them. Like not so much like, oh my God, I did it. I cured that
wanna help
person.
facilitate
But I
change.
want to help them get better
Yeah.
because now more than ever I know how people struggle because I am going through mental health challenges and addiction, and it's like I know it in my bones now what it is that we learned about in the textbooks that were written in those journal articles about
experienced it,
participant 1 through 287. It's like that result right there of them understanding where their anxiety comes from was based on what these PhD doctors were doing for years to publish that article to validate that method. It's like, I can't be a part of all of that. I want to see how it helps somebody
Yeah.
instead.
And
So,
see the actual results.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they're both, you can argue, they're both obviously equally as important.
but I'm
course, you
thankful
can't
that
have
there
one
are
without the
people in
other.
my field that want to
That
do
wanna
that
do it,
shit.
yeah.
Sorry, because how else would we then have ways to help people if there weren't interested students that wanted to figure that out and find the best way, best practice.
Yeah.
So I'm just not going to be one of them. I will carry out your work for you on the subject.
I mean, it's,
of today.
it's analogous to theoretical physics
Yeah.
and experimental physics.
Exactly.
You can't have one without the other. You need them
Exactly.
both. And I
And
mean,
that's the best part of having like just a dynamic of different types of people and minds and thinking and what they feel their purposes are and their dreams. It's like, thank God there's such a variety.
And my favorite thing about all of it is, and this is why it's my favorite subject, is it all starts with philosophical thinking. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to think philosophically in order to even come up, especially in the sciences.
Do you think Freud was philosophical?
I think he had to be. Yeah,
I'd be
in the
interested
beginning.
to find out where his...
Granted, again, I guess it depends on what you
his
mean by philosophical,
curiosities,
but
yeah.
obviously he had to be in deep, deep thinking and trying to figure things out to even start a theory of anything.
I think it stemmed from his own...
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Like he had an
Parental
attraction
issues.
to his mother, like, you know, the Oedipus and Electra complex, all that stuff. Definitely. So he's probably very aware and I guess in tune with, I don't know.
But at the
I'm
same
giving
time-
him too much credit.
No,
man.
honestly, I don't think people
I
anymore
know.
give him enough credit, especially
know.
for when it was that he
Yeah.
was coming up with
Yeah.
all of his stuff.
But actually, you're right, because prior to that, like, I love learning about the history of psychology and psychotherapy specifically. Like,
Yeah.
prior to the people pioneers, like, and theory, it was very much spiritual based. Like, they thought you were possessed by demons. And they did... what was it called? Like encephalus something, or it's some sort of a procedure where they like literally drilled a hole in your skull thinking that would make the spirits escape. They would use these people that they called crazy in insane asylums, and that was entertainment. People would go
Oh
and
my
pay to
gosh.
see the
That's
freaks.
fucked.
It was nuts. So
Taking
it
the
was
split
never
brain
seen as
patients.
something that can be helped. It was like, look at these, I don't know,
Oddities?
like oddities. I was going to say anomalies, but that's not correct. Like, yeah, wow. And then thinking today, like, there are hundreds of thousands, millions of people that are still just like that. But
Yeah.
we know how to actually help them.
I think things
And
are...
they aren't, I mean, they are still seen as freaks. Stigma still exists, but not so much as
Nowhere
putting
near
them
as
on
much.
in
Yeah.
a
Burning
spotlight
them
and
alive.
in cages, like at a damn circus.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to see how, like, Freud was one of the founders of, like, being able to study and want to help that and change how inhumane
People
people were treated. and not that they were essentially ignored. People died and killed themselves or were tortured at the expense of other people or at the hands of other people. And I guess he was part of the change of
Absolutely
science.
was,
It still happens,
Yeah.
though. I mean,
I know.
people, addicts, dude, we have 5% of the world's population in this country, 25% of the world's prison incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. So, and I think it's like 88% of people that are incarcerated are in there because of drug offenses.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And mental health.
yeah, absolutely.
It's
The mental
crazy.
health and the drug addiction,
Oh my God.
they
Go hand in
coexist. Oh, my Lord.
That's the war on drugs.
Always.
It's ridiculous.
It's a war on people.
It is.
It's a war on people and an illness, which is, of course, propagated by, like, drugs are just an effective, well, they're unhealthy, but they're an effective, like, they fucking work. They're a coping mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
That's what drugs are, and people don't get that. People just think like, oh, they're having a good time. Which drugs are fun? Don't get me wrong. Drugs are definitely a good time, man. Yeah, for sure, man. Give me some ecstasy and some glow sticks, and I'm fucking having a blast.
Dancing
For
to
real.
Sandstorm.
Fuck it. Bullshit.
I can't take hallucinogenics and go in crowds.
Bro, MDMA is, you see trails and shit. There's no
Like, I just can't.
hallucinations.
No, well, obviously,
I know, like,
I've
people,
never
like-
hallucinated on any hallucinogenics that I've taken. Psychoactive substances. I've never seen things. I've only seen waves, but I mean that's it. But I mean, I
Hallucinogens
can't.
are cool too.
When I go, I become
To be honest,
extremely.
in my recovery, I'm totally gonna take some more fucking mushrooms. There's no
I wouldn't.
question.
I would never argue with that.
No question.
Never.
No question. And I have no qualms about telling that to anybody. Like, yeah, mom and dad, I'm gonna fucking eat some mushrooms again. Like,
Yeah, no, I've said that
whatever.
to my. I mean, even my. I mean, I sit down with my girlfriend and we'll take, LSD and around a campfire, mushrooms together, and talk about our
yeah.
relationship and
Fuck
how we
yeah.
can work on
Interesting.
things and.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, they're such beautiful tools. And speaking of psychotherapy, to use
MDMA.
those in
Yeah.
a correct,
Ecstasy was
set and setting, it's unbelievable.
it was being used initially in Houston, Texas
What were
for
they doing the Ibogaine?
Ibogaine that
Yeah,
started.
that's the LSD, isn't it?
No,
No,
Ibogaine's
that's
totally different.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
like
okay.
a bark from a root.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew a girl who was using that to help with her
Opiates.
heroin.
Yeah,
It's
you
one
got to
of the
go to
best.
like Mexico for
At least
it.
the research they've done, anyway, the
It's
little
out west.
research.
It was out west of
Yeah,
Yeah, you
Vancouver.
can find places in like Arizona. Oh, really? You guys, they're a lot more progressive up there. They
sure.
just legalized
They're
fucking
very-
mushrooms in Denver
They are
Yeah.
a harm reduction.
Center.
like-
Yeah, I'm all about the harm reduction.
Oh my
But
God.
real quick, like
No.
with the psychotherapy, MDMA was initially used. Ecstasy was initially used in like people who were end of life, like late stage cancer,
Oh.
late
yeah.
stage whatever, man, HIV, because this was in the 80s.
In
Houston.
palliative care, then they were just
What's
being
it called?
kept comfortable. Palliative care
Well,
is
well, they weren't
like
being
you are
held-
in like hospice.
Yeah, they weren't
You're
being
gonna die.
kept comfortable. These people, they
Okay.
did the ecstasy for them to like come to
Oh.
terms with it,
Oh.
and then also couples therapy.
Okay.
Couples therapy.
Never mind.
That's huge. Well, they got that one place has been around. It's called MAPS,
Yeah,
Been around.
Multidisciplinary Association for Psychoactive Substances.
psychedelic studies. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, psychedelics and whatever.
And yeah, but it's crazy with the work they've done with
Oh, it's
MDMA and
amazing.
PTSD.
yeah,
and
PTSD, huge.
There's
huge,
so many.
huge.
Well, so when I was at my first rehab, my short term, I remember talking with this kid, and I'm just like I said, I've been a huge fan of psychotherapy. I just love it. And so anytime I have a conversation with people or meet with somebody, like I'm always just soaked in them and want to learn and figure out techniques to converse with people and whatever. And so I was talking to this kid for 2 hours. It took me to get him to talk about his dad, and that took
boy.
2 hours. And I remember thinking, laying in my bed that night, with like LSD or even mushrooms, like all those walls are gone.
Yep.
There's no protective walls up anymore, and you just feel like this oneness.
It's like
and
a
you're
truth
just
serum.
yeah. It really
Kinda.
it kind of is. At
Yeah,
least it knocks
absolutely.
down every egotistical wall you have.
Yeah.
Or protective. Wall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
And they're gone, and
Ecstasy
you
does
talk
the
about
exact
things.
same
How do you
thing,
feel
man.
after that though? Like, do you remember that you talked about something like that?
I've never
and that,
not remembered something.
And do
mean,
you
if you
feel
smoke a
now?
lot of weed.
Do you feel confident now and comfortable talking about vulnerable topics?
Absolutely.
Like I know, being
Oh,
a
absolutely.
clinician in training, that there's a whole process. There is a whole thing behind the client counselor relationship and trust building, and that there's like Carl Rogers' three conditions.
Yeah,
Like the empathy, unconditional positive regard, and being genuine, the therapist being genuine, are all conducive to opening up that conversation from the client's point of view, of making them feel safe and able to talk about their deepest, darkest, most painful stuff that's often presented ways down the line. They always tell us, like, the presenting problem's never the presenting problem. Like, if I come to you and say, you know, I'm devastated because I just broke up with my boyfriend, like, there's eventually under all the layers. But the onion layers take certain
time.
variables to peel back, to facilitate the peeling back up. So I'm wondering, with like LSD or something like that, if this dude that you were talking to had taken it and opened up about his dad, will he
regret
now
it afterwards,
or regret it, or will he now have a newfound like sense of safety, ability to talk about the
it makes you
difficult
comfortable
things
with yourself.
But I mean,
like,
once it's worn off is what
I
I'm
understand.
asking.
That's why they did that.
Does
That's exactly
it
what they did with ecstasy.
help
and
you
these people that
now
were dying.
reach this new,
acceptance, a level of acceptance?
not
yes.
even acceptance, ability to go to a place that
So what you're asking basically is, if I took some LSD, opened up about something, afterwards, would I be okay with it and be open to talk about it without
and more
LSD?
so talk more open in general.
That's a really actually an awesome question.
Good. That's a great
Yeah,
fucking question.
which was something I would have to research.
Like,
that. I know
yeah.
my personal experience.
Does it have an after effect?
Yes.
Let's call it.
I mean, my personal experience, every time I've tripped, it's affected me afterwards, and
Of course.
In
you
a
know,
beneficial way.
in a beneficial
Me
way.
too, for sure.
But that's me. I don't, I've
So
never
it like unlocks his ability to feel comfortable with anybody,
Absolutely.
essentially.
Yes.
because you feel this this incredible oneness with everything, and love and acceptance.
Fuck
and
yeah.
I remember the one time the first time I tripped. I mean, I've learned so much. I've become a better listener.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've learned, wow, I talk too much, whatever it is. So many things. The list goes on of things I've learned from tripping. And I remember the first time I did it, I was with my good buddy. And I just remember generally thinking, no conditions attached. Like, I love this dude. He's like a brother to me. And then I remember thinking, anybody could walk through that front door right now and I'd feel the same way about them.
Yeah, we're
like,
all
I would
people.
love them no matter what, unconditionally. I would love, and
Absolutely.
you realize it's just this whole oneness, and as cliche and as hippie and as stupid as that has been beaten down to, you really do. You feel this just
sure.
connection with everything.
Everybody. I just told her about it last night.
Yeah.
Told her about it last night.
I mean, my dog. I feel like my dog is like just
bro.
my
Another
the
human
grass. Like you
Yeah.
hear the stories. I want to get naked and roll around in the mud. Like you do. You feel one with the trees and the plants and everything, and it's such a beautiful. Really, again, going back to ineffable, because I've had some very ineffable experiences.
Oh my lord. Yeah.
On hallucinogenics. Now, I don't want to. There's a lot of people should not be taking them.
Oh, absolutely. If you have like an underlying like
Mental issue,
like psychosis, schizophrenia, schizophrenia. You have schizophrenia. Let's be. It's the words. Remember
The language.
the language.
I mean, cannabis can cause that. I mean, they have research in
for
that.
sure.
So yeah,
For sure. It causes a psychotic break like that.
it's crazy.
I
But
told you
so you
about
have to be
that.
careful.
Once before, a friend of mine in high school, I didn't go, but a few people went on this like spring break trip.
Oh yeah.
And she was at it
Like
was
in
to
Cancun
Quebec.
or
No,
something?
it was to Quebec. Montreal. A group of people. She was probably like 15, 16, and they sought out some pot from people at this hotel, like other students vacationing on spring break. And when she came back to St. Catharines and back to school, like she had all of these bizarre after experiences,
Really?
and like my sister was in class watching her. She got up and went to the chalkboard and started drawing on the chalkboard and like said something to my sister about my father who's passed away.
Oh,
And she had an aversive reaction and
That's
ended up
crazy.
having to go to the hospital. And her parents were so pissed at the students that she went to on this trip with.
Like, it's
how
their
could
fault.
how could you let her go
their
off and
fault,
smoke some
yeah.
strange weed that like you don't even know? But it was
Are you
that
gonna
was
smoke
the
the
that was the one
devil's-
and
the
one and
devil's
only
lettuce?
time though.
The
That was the one and
devil's
only
lettuce.
How
time
are
though.
you gonna
I
do that?
I'd heard about.
What if you
What?
jumped out of windows?
Excuse me.
You're excused.
That was the one and only time I'd heard about such an like
Yeah, I've never
and
known
like
anybody.
lacing
Yeah.
of marijuana. Like I don't know, but I also thought too, like it could have been like just the perfect cocktail of something
Yeah.
else that was going on
For
inside
sure.
her that triggered that reaction. There's no way they would have ever known if it was laced because it's gone. It was gone.
Yeah.
And but thinking about that now in retrospect, like you could be made up of like what's already going on inside you, your brain chemicals,
Yeah,
your levels of
predisposed to
hormones,
something.
your this or that. Yeah, for sure.
No question.
sure.
I've heard stories of people who take one dose of acid and they're fucking spun out for life. Like spun the fuck out. Yeah, man. Done. Like they need to be
Another
in an assisted
reason
living
why
home.
I don't take psychoactive substances around people. Unless I'm very close to you.
Super.
I would
know
be
you've-
Gotta have
Yeah.
a good safe space. Like I
Set
hate
and
that
setting.
liberal bullshit.
I've never
Yeah.
done
You
anything
need a
like
safe
that,
space.
but I would want to be like at home
Absolutely.
on my
Set and set-
couch.
Camping
like,
would be good.
You need a good home
Sometimes
base.
just
being
never
enclosed.
in public. I mean,
No.
I can't even. I would never even think about going to a rave. To be honest,
No.
So
I'm
much fun. No.
I don't know.
Ecstasy's a different. It's
just
a
the
different,
unknown.
even
I don't
with-
have that.
even
I don't
with
have the
MDMA,
desire
I
to
can't
like
do it.
want
You
to
gotta have-
try it
you-
and be
like-
like this. I hear all these stories. This is going to be a fucking wild adventure. That's not enough for me to want to go and try it. I'm missing a component that like of
Safety.
of
Safety
the fearlessness.
is a huge. No, it's
Like,
not. You
I'm-
have to have like when I would go to these raves and I would go up to Toronto all the fucking time. All the time, 3-4 times a week sometimes for other reasons. But they had the place up there, the government. I knew I had my hotel room to go back to or my group of friends.
I was
interested.
curious about the after effects of using it in a therapeutic setting.
You're curious at best.
He knows what I wrote down, not personal consumption. So whatever you want to
You're-
think,
I think
keep
you're
it in your
curious.
head.
I think you're curious.
Is that going to have an effect on my like innate personality qualities?
No, it will enhance
But
it.
I don't know.
It will enhance
And
it.
not knowing that is
Fear
not
of the
worth
unknown's
it.
massive with you. I know.
It's not worth it
I
for
know.
me. So
I'm aware.
leave it to Garrett.
You'll get there.
You can do it.
You'll get there.
I won't. What do you
Not
like
with that attitude.
drugs?
No,
with
you won't.
drugs? What
you
are you
will not
talking
with
about?
that attitude. That is correct. No, you won't.
Sean, break this up.
You won't. You won't.
I know I'm failing as a host right now.
No. Oh, what is good?
Mediation is not a strategy.
But I am gonna.
Yeah.
I want to look that up too about
Yeah,
how
that's,
the after
interesting.
effects of it.
That
'Cause
is
that's a great question.
Yeah, it's a super good question. Super good question.
Sweet.
I agree.
Sweet.
But yeah,
5 points, Morgs. Gold star.
that's right.
Yes.
All right. Well, I say we wrap this up.
Oh,
Right on.
really?
Okay.
Interesting.
Hour and 15 minutes.
What?
Yeah.
Man, I believe
This
it.
was fun.
Time flies when
Woo.
you're doing
I
this.
could do this fucking 10 more times, man.
Yeah.
I love
I
it.
didn't really get to talk much.
I hope we can get. I hope I can get paid to do this one day.
Dude, that'd be dope. I really
should.
hope. I really
That's
hope
what I'm-
everything, I told you, man. I
Put
know,
it on
I know
Instagram
for-
or YouTube or
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. Bro, I'm telling you,
I
man.
got the RSS feed. I got the website. I mean, I'm this close to
Do you
becoming
want? Do
an
you need
official
some
company.
fundraisers?
So
Maybe we'll go out and pound the pavement and knock on doors.
I
for
told
you.
you, dude. There are people. I know people. Like,
Yes.
I know people at Evergreen. I know.
There are people that
And I'm
believe
I
in
am
this
good.
stuff
Yeah,
and
there
will
are.
be interested
There are,
in
for
what
sure.
people you interview or talk with
I
have to
can
say,
really,
especially
really
if it's a
help you, man.
targeted subject.
Yeah.
I mean, I
know?
have a handful of people who give to me monthly
Yeah.
That's
money
great.
financially. So
That's
there are
awesome.
people. I've gotten. I mean, I've been able to buy a new computer. I bought mic stands. I bought
Yeah, this
microphones. I
setup is legit.
Yeah,
bought
this is dope.
soundboards. I mean,
I'm
I'm just
jealous.
Very
I've been
impressive.
blessed.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
Very
man,
blessed.
for
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah. Kind of jealous. I miss my
I know.
computers.
Oh, I love it.
I straight up thought this was just the studio in this house. Like you guys made a room into a studio. I didn't know
I
it was your
wish.
bedroom.
It is my bedroom.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, man.
I mean, my life revolves around this anyway. So at this
Awesome.
point,
Podcast trapping.
oh yeah. No, we'll have to do this again because I feel
I'd
like we
love
could
to.
sit here for another 3 hours
Fuck
and
yeah.
talk.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming on and sharing.
We should get in a replacement.
Talking.
therapy.
Thank you.
There's a lot of things we should get into.
Oh,
Yeah.
Shame
bro.
and guilt is another one
Oh,
I would
man.
love to get into. So
Sure.
How it keeps us trapped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it.
That's right.
I was a bit apprehensive, but I'm very happy to have been here and engaged in this conversation. It was very stimulating, and I thrive in this kind of setup with
man.
talking about things that
Oxford
are very
House bedrooms.
fascinating.
sometimes
I don't literally mean the four-wall setup. I mean this environment and this mindset. Being with like minds
Yeah, man.
is
It
really
is so
exciting.
awesome.
Yeah.
Stimulating conversation. Like
Oh,
there's
sure.
times where like you could be exhausted and tired, and all of a sudden a great conversation
Absolutely.
and you get
Perk
high.
right up.
Yep,
Absolutely,
I love it.
man.
It is a good
Absolutely.
Actual natural high. It's great.
I agree.
So thank you for this
I agree.
opportunity.
I told you,
Absolutely.
man.
We will
Anytime.
be back.
Good.
If you
Good.
invite us. Absolutely.
That's right. Oh,
I-
you'll be invited.
Okay.
I would love to do it. Man.
Totes.
Love to do
Look
it.
out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Sweet. You guys are awesome.
Thanks, you too.
Woo.
Later.
Lit.
Thank you for listening, everybody. I hope you found yourself in nothing but utter bliss as you listen to this past episode. As always, a reminder to go on room9podcast.com and fill out a contact form. Check out the support page. Check out the blog. Just stay in touch with us. Let me know what you want to see happening around here because things are moving and I am being nothing but productive. So much love to you guys. Thank you for listening as always. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for your financial help. If you're somebody who helps out financially or has helped out, you guys are awesome. All of you guys are awesome. Keep positive. Look for the blessings around you because they are there. It's up to you to find them, and everybody has them. So look for them. That's my goal this week, is to continuously look for the things that I have been blessed with. All right, I will talk to you next week. Peace out.
Wait a minute. You're Sean Cudahy. That's right. How you gonna know? You're Sean Cudahy. Stop asking fucking questions. That's right. Yeah. You better believe it. Oh, you better believe it. That's right. Come on. You're Sean Cudahy. That's right. That's right.